The Met head, remember how I kind of captured the top? And some of you found that as you put your foam, it kind of came high, right? And it didn't leave you much room to attach to the skin. So one other way you can do it instead of coming across like this is, again, kind of your arts and crafts can come into play here. But if you create sort of these shapes, okay, maybe even a little bit more angled, you can create the shape of the foot, okay? So that as you're doing that, you're still clearing the toes, but you're leaving this little lip up here that can kind of grab on, that doesn't leave you bumping up against the toe. So again, you can kind of do whatever shape. If you really are good at kind of outlining, you can sort of cut it to that so that you get it. Okay, so that was just one thing that came up. Bacitracin packets I usually keep in my kit. Okay, so this is for when I'm clearing blisters and nail bed heads and things that have potential infection risk. I'll just throw a couple of these at the athlete and pop them open. Okay, this way we're not sharing between all the lube and the big tubs. Like as you saw, we had to get new of this because I used this on my athlete when I was taping. So if I use the stick, it's not going back in here, okay? So you have to just be aware of that. So a lot of these things I have like this are in tubes, but I never let it come in direct contact with the athlete, okay? So then, okay, the other thing to talk through, here are my 11 blades scalpels. You didn't know you were getting this, right? No, so where we've played around with the shoe, like if this is too tight here, or say it's a pinky toe, right? Wherever you put their foot in there, mark with like a little marker or Sharpie where the spot is. Get their foot out of the shoe, never cut with their foot in the shoe. And then you'll know where the space needs to be created. And so then from there, you would just kind of cut through a little X, creating this little space, okay? So you can manipulate the shoe if you need to, okay? So depending on where the issue is, if it's up here, you just want to be thinking about, we don't want to take away a lot from here because this is a protection for the toe, but we maybe can get away with the third, or maybe making some space around the first. And then the other thing to do would be like this eyelet, you could skip. You would run it through here just like you would, so that the pressure is not being pulled against the pinky toe. Okay, so you have lots of ways to decompress a shoe. One way would be to kind of cut through it a little bit and just create a little star. Okay, so that's kind of, I found a shoe, so I thought, let's show it. Okay, we're good on that. And then lastly, I want to introduce you just to the Kinesio tape, and then we're going to move on. When we do the Plantar Flex Assist tape, you'll practice this at that time, okay? So remember, once you know what you're taping, you can kind of do anything. So we've got a peroneal potential strain. We've got anterior tibialis for a shin splint. We have a medial shin splint that could happen. That's the posterior tibialis, okay, that you're just coming right behind the malleoli up the leg. And so based on the length of the anatomy, you would probably use spray potentially to help give you a little bit more lasting effect. This would need to be clear, so whether you took just a razor up the area, like if that's the spot, just make sure we've got one nice long strip that's free of all the hair and any lotion. Clean it with your soap and water, make sure it's really dry, And then next time be like, hey, if we're having to do this repetitively, just shave the leg at home on your own, okay? And then come in with it clean shaven. And then from there, you can start putting your attachment pieces. So kind of thinking about anterior tibialis, here's the bulk of our muscle. Starting down, I'm gonna have him stay in a little bit of some plantar flexion. And then if it's just an inhibitory technique, we're just doing a paper off. And then the last bit, there's no tension on that last piece, okay, at all. And then we give it a nice solid rub briskly to activate the glue. And then there, after we're done with their treatment, you might be taping, go do your neuromotor control exercises and your balance and single leg heel raises and all of that. And then now you've got it on for the next few days supporting the foot. Okay, so just think of that concept, but everywhere, up the peroneal, posterior tib, and then gastrocsoleus we'll do when we do plantar flex assist as well, okay? All right, cool. So that being said, let's jump into the Achilles lecture.